And a good Thursday morning to one and all. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl with Troy Renck in from the Denver Post. You can check his podcast here on Mile High Sports or wherever you get your podcasts. How are you, my friend? You doing okay today?
Doing well, man. It's weird not having Broncos.
It is.
Such a late bye week. I know you're out there. You're at Broncos more than I am now in my new role as a columnist. But our whole life, our rhythm of life, this time of year goes around Broncos, and that's kind of a shame given how great the Nuggets and Avs are, and we'll talk about that. But it's just if you grew up covering sports in Colorado, the rhythm of basically late July through this January 1st goes through the Broncos.
And you are so correct. And we'll take just a moment to get into the weeds and then we'll get out of it quickly. I promise everyone. But you're right. There is a rhythm that really starts to roll a little bit during OTAs. And then you get into, you get a mini camp and then you get that little break before training camp. But by the middle of July, you're already locked in. And then all of a sudden, you come to a screeching halt whenever the bye is. Now, the Broncos have been pretty late the last couple of years, but it is weird when you get to this point. And maybe it's the fact that they're 9-2 and they've created and generated so much momentum and rhythm to their season that all of a sudden, when you stop yours, it's like, well, wait a minute. What the hell? What have I got to do today? What am I doing this week? And I'm feeling that a little bit this morning. It's crazy.
And especially because of the record and the momentum of
the
season. Over the previous 8 years outside of last season, but even last season, they were 6-5. Yeah, it was just you needed the break. It was exhausting because of the drama. It's not even the on. It was just between ownership drama, coaching drama, coordinator drama, quarterback drama. You'd get to this point in the season, and we talked about it yesterday. If they win their last 5, and it was just exhausting. Doing the math was silly. It was fool's gold. And this year it was like you can't even believe it's late November because every good team I've covered, and I root for the story, not the team, folks. So just understand that the Broncos being great again is a great story. Them sucking was not a good story anymore. But when the teams are good, the season goes by like that. It just goes by in a blink. When teams are bad, it's drama and it's just constant friction. It's not that it is interesting to cover, but you feel every day.
Yeah.
When teams are good, you just like look up and you're like, holy crap, we're almost to December. And it's just, that's the nature, I think, of jobs in general, if you love your job, but it's the nature of a good sports team.
You just used a term that I use regularly. I always cheer for the story, not for the team. The team that I cheer for is the Boston Red Sox. I don't cover them. That's the team that I follow. I follow them every day. I know about what's going on in Pawtucket. I know what's happening with the Boston Red Sox. That's the one team that I really, really follow and have a vested interest in how they do every day. Do you think fans out there just can't possibly conceive of the concept of pulling for the story and not for the team?
It's hard. I mean, you've been in this industry longer than I have, but so I've been doing this professionally for right at 35 years.
Yeah, wow.
It's something with even my own parents. It'd be like, don't you want the team to win? And it's like, well, in certain cases, you want them to win because it's a better story. But I remember when the Broncos were in their first, when I covered their first Super Bowl, they were in Super Bowls prior to that. But my first Super Bowl I covered was Super Bowl 30. And leading up to that season, I had some negative columns. This was when I was working at the Daily Times Call, and the basically the venom of fans. This is kind of pre-email, so you get letters in the mail. How dare you? How can you not support the Broncos? And it's like it's not about that, but then and the flip side of that, when they did win that first Super Bowl, I've never had a story that resonated with more people. And it's not the Red Sox of now my loved one can die or rest in peace.
Right.
It's not that.
Yeah.
But in this state, it was that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Where, they're regional, they're so big. But in this state with so many people, when the Broncos finally won that first Super Bowl, it really resonated how big they are in this state. And it's regional, but in this state, the Broncos are the religion as a sports team. And when they broke through finally, and Elway won that Super Bowl. That's when you realize it would be hard for fans to not understand why you don't support that team.
Yeah.
But that's just not our job. And the one thing about the job that stinks a little bit is you do it. I was just talking to Patrick Saunders' journalism class at CU, and they're like, "Well, I'd like to go to the games and this," some of them this, or my younger brother would love to go to a game with you. I'm like, it wouldn't be fun in the press box.
No.
It's like going to the library.
No.
We're not cheering. Our faces aren't painted. And so you lose some of that. So anytime, to your point, when they ask me, are you a fan of a team? And it's the only team I've been a fan of over the last 20 plus years are teams my sons are on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have a vested interest in the
Sure. That's fair enough. Hey, we want to tell you the best way to buy what you want to buy at the price you want to pay is at Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Wednesday, December 3rd, coming right up, which is unbelievable. There's a government fleet vehicles and equipment auction for SUVs, sedans, pickups, utility trucks, police vans, hopefully not one that I've been in, and more. Online bidding is started at rollerauction.com. Don't forget rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price that you want today at Roller Auction. It is a great website, by the way, just to go and to peruse. It's very entertaining. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Get to some Broncos here in a bit, but I really wanted yesterday in our time with Troy to get to the Nuggets and the Avs a little bit, and so I'm glad we have this time this morning, coming off an Avs or a Nugs win last night, 125-118 down in New Orleans, to get a little love for both of these teams that are off to tremendous starts. What do you see when you look at the Nuggets right now, beyond an 11-3 basketball team? What are our early takeaways from David Adelman, the way that this team is structured, the way it's functioning, the capacity for this team to get better as the season goes on? Where do you see it even just 14 games into the season now, Troy?
We'll work backward and move up. The biggest difference is the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, with Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas, they have a legit bench. Last year, their bench was essentially Russell Westbrook, and it was like 2 men and a baby. It was a bad Hallmark movie. I mean, you're just hoping. And now you got legitimate guys that come off the bench. I mean, Hardaway can give you 20. The bonus Jonas brother, where came in concert with Nick and the rest of the crew. He can give you 10 and 10, and he's very efficient in doing it. He's not playing a lot of minutes, and this guy can give you a double-double. And you look at Bruce Brown, he's even more physical and aggressive, and he's more of even a defender than I remember during his 2023 time and championship run. So the bench sticks out. It's totally different. And it's moved guys who were supposed to be key players on the bench down, which is a good thing. But that's different. Jamal Murray is just not even the same player he was this time a year ago. If you remember last year, you said 11-3. Last year they started the season 11-10, and Murray was averaging like 16.5 points a game, and he was every metric in his career was at his worst. And it wasn't just the numbers. Just watching him, he couldn't get space. He couldn't make threes. He looked tired. He looked sore. He looked hurt. All those things. I watch him, and he just is a completely different player. And I'd heard that from John Wallace, the GM. He was telling me that they were going to challenge him. He expected Murray to respond. And everything I heard about Murray's summer was this guy's in a different headspace. It's not even proving he's an all-star. It was just he was in town. He was the leader in town. He was the guy getting guys together for pickup games. He was the guy that was kind of the point man for David Adelman, because obviously Jokic is in Serbia. The final thing is Jokic is on an all-time heater. Right. Even by his standards. And I'm going to probably write about that in the Denver Post here in the next couple of days. But even by his standards of greatness, it's different because he's more efficient. I mean, last night wasn't as efficient, but he's been he had a 2-game stretch there where they won. He was 34 or 42 from the field. I mean, Shaq would have nights like that, but he dunked 90% of the time. Right. Jokic is doing it from 33 feet in. So and Adelman, the offense, he's clearly an offensive wizard. There's no question. the thing he's going to have to balance is rest, and he rested Gordon last night, is keeping them healthy, understanding the big picture, and also on nights they got to play defense. Even last night, they didn't play great defense at times, and certainly against the Bulls, their defense was lacking. But I mean, again, we're talking about the mole on Cindy Crawford's face here. They're 11-3, and they're so much better off than they were this time a year ago, where there was clear drama. Jokic was frustrated, Jamal looked out of shape, and Malone was just pissed off every post game about the defense.
Yeah, you used a word, and I want to circle back to it because it needs to be underlined. Efficient. People, when we get into conversations about greatest of all time, unicorn, nobody ever like Nikola Jokic, the conversation can go a lot of different ways. But for me, it always comes back to his greatness defined through his efficiency. There has been no other player that I can remember that has been quite as close to as efficient as Nikola Jokic is with the way that he plays, away from the basket, where he takes his shots. He'll shoot anywhere on the floor. The way that he runs the offense and finds open players and makes players around him better. It's his efficiency at the end of the day that I think we'll talk about for years to come when the conversation of the greatest big man ever comes up, because Nikola Jokic has fought his way into that pantheon. He will be in that discussion. And I think that that's an area that I don't think any big man in the game can really compare to him. Now, they may compare with him in other ways, protecting the rim, things of that nature. I give everyone their flowers. My flowers for Nikola Jokic, efficiency in a vase.
Yeah, and that's how you have to broaden the lens because of how he plays basketball. He's a point center. He's Magic Johnson / Larry Bird as a center, in a lot of ways. He reminds me a lot of Larry Bird. But then with Dirk Nowitzki's shooting touch. There's a layer to him that didn't exist with some of these other players. And when you talk about all-time greats, not just even centers, but all-time greats, Wilt Chamberlain wasn't shooting threes.
Nope.
Bill Russell was not a good offensive player, and that he was one of the greatest defensive players, if not the greatest defensive player all time. He was not an offensive force, and certainly not 20, 30 feet from the basket. Shaq was just dominant in ways that he overpowered the game. But when you start talking about guys that played, Jabbar had the hook shot.
Right.
And so there's a reason he was the all-time leading scorer, because he had this shot nobody could block. And so that's where but he wasn't stepping back, 1 foot 3-pointer. That's why there's a layer. And Kareem wasn't passing. Now he was with Magic for chunk of these years, didn't have to. But I don't think it was in his bag. It wasn't in his tool bag, and he was just holding it back. Arvydas Sabonis is a big man, played like that. The only big man that would have been similar had he been healthy, and him from Boston, is Bill Walton.
Right.
So you talk about Bill Walton, Larry Bird in their prime, they're all their skill sets combined. That's why he's in the conversation. And part of me, what I want to write is, that all time. It's like, for me, growing up in Colorado, John Elway was the greatest Colorado athlete. He's clearly the most well-known. Put Colorado on the map. And I've said this before to people. He wasn't on Mount Rushmore. He was Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, exactly.
He was the Babe Ruth of Colorado sports. Well, I think now with Jokic, he'll never change how Elway changed how this state is looked at. For me, Jokic is the greatest Colorado sports athlete of all time. He's past Elway. In that regard, and football is more popular. I understand all that, and the Broncos are more popular. Jokic has a chance to go down as one of the top 10 all-time players of all time. Elway is certainly a top 5 quarterback, however you measure. He's not a top 10 player in the NFL of all time.
Right.
And there's no shame in that. But Jokic is, I want people to understand, and you do more than anyone.
Oh my God, yes.
He's entering a category like we're not going to see another player like this. Even if you saw another great scorer, he's a unicorn in how he plays a position. So you want to appreciate it. And Adelman and Malone, to his credit, they'd always be like, don't take this for granted.
Yeah.
And any of us who saw like Bill Hanslick's one season as a coach, or the one year they had Orlando Woolridge as their best player, trust me, I'm not taking this for granted.
All right, Oklahoma City's 15-1, Troy.
Yeah.
The West is the best, without question. Houston, the Lakers, the Spurs, Minnesota, everybody is off to good starts. The Nuggets are near the top of the list at 11-3, but they're already, 3 games back of Oklahoma City, and they're playing well. But my concern here is that the West is so good at the top of this conference right now that you can have a hell of a basketball team, one that's far more improved from a year ago, and still get lost in the wash a little bit. What is the goal now in terms of your pace for the Nuggets to realize in the regular season, where, by the way, I feel like they've never really truly bought into the whole concept of let's kick ass and take names in the regular season so we don't have to worry about where we are seated and home court advantage in the postseason, something that Oklahoma City seems to have taken pretty seriously.
Yeah, what's fascinating to me, and it could work in the Nuggets to their advantage, is Oklahoma City going to pursue the greatest regular season of all time?
Great question.
That can get exhausting. We saw it with Golden State several years ago, where it ended up they didn't win a championship that year. Again, maybe I'm pulling it, reaching for straws here.
I like it.
But if they're trying to win 75 games in a regular season, whatever that number is, I wouldn't think, knowing how smart their coaches, that they would get caught up in that. But sometimes the momentum of it forces you to, like, we're not really doing it, but then you look up and it's possible, and you'll never be there again. Could that help them? Part of the reason is OKC's played a really soft schedule, and the Nuggets hasn't been just some in the octagon bare knuckle brawl either. But OKC's played an easy schedule. I do think when you're assessing where you belong, you just need to see how it looks against Oklahoma City. If you match up with them in a way that you're not comfortable, you got to then see, like, are we in reach for that seed? Because we might need that game at home in May or whatever that is, April, May. If you're even and you beat them once at their place, they beat you at your place, but it's close, and you decide, you know what? I mean, they could have won a game 7 at OKC.
They could have, yeah.
It wasn't the crowd I didn't feel like, having covered those games, it wasn't the atmosphere. They won game 1 there. It was the fact they had no bench, and Aaron Gordon was on one leg. Like, they were just, and Nikola Jokic was just literally, if you turned your cell phone on and it's at 3%, he was done. Like, he just didn't have anything left to give. So, but I do think you're cognizant of it if they start to come back to the pack. I wouldn't want to see, Bruce, given the ages of Jokic, Gordon, and Murray, that you just redline to the finish line, get past OKC, and then look up and go, and now you're in some dogfight in the first round. Like, why did we do that? So as long as you feel comfortable as you get into the season of how you match up against them, I don't, would you want the 1 seed? Of course, but I don't know that you can't pursue it at all costs.
Gotcha.
And Adelman knows that. Yeah. But you can't also get into that point where they were last year. We're just going to turn the light switch on. Yeah. You can't play shitty defense for 3/4 of the year and then decide in the playoffs we're going to lock it down like that. Come on now. Yeah. And Adelman, I don't think, would let that happen. And there's so much better with depth. The guys can push guys off minutes to say, hey, you're not doing it, I'll get someone that can. Look at Peyton Watson last night. A guy gets an opportunity, goes for 32. So, but OKC's a problem. I thought there would be a little bit of a hangover effect. I knew that it wouldn't be totally that way because they're so young, but they're a problem. But I still think the Nuggets can match up well with them. That would be a remarkable Western Conference Finals, and that's where I'd want to see that series. Frankly, maybe it would be better for the Nuggets saw it early. Bruce, I don't know how you think, but in terms of a viewing standpoint, I'd want to see it as the Western Conference Final.
I want to see it as the Western Conference Finals, but I watch Houston, and I watch the Lakers now with LeBron back. Which was right. I hear you, but he was interestingly effective in his debut. He was a facilitator more than he was a scorer, and I'm interested to see how the roles between he and Luka continue to evolve. Now, I hate all things Lakers because every single time they even trip over their own shoelaces, they get national headlines. It's sickening, but it's compelling to me to see those two guys together and see how they work or don't work. But the Lakers are off to a good start. But what about Wembanyama in San Antonio? And what about Minnesota, which always seems to be the bane of the Nuggets' existence, although I think the Nuggets have kind of started to even that out a little bit more. There's plenty of company at the end in this Western Conference. That's what all of a sudden this conference is just a beast. Not all of a sudden, it's been that way, but wow.
It's got like an SEC football vibe.
Right now. It does. Like, that's a great way of putting it. Yep.
If you get through it, you're going to be gassed. I mean, It's like some ways, and I hate to compliment the SEC too much because the attention on them is nauseating. But in some ways, you watch SEC football every week, and I know you do. Like winning the SEC sometimes can feel more of an accomplishment than winning the national championship.
Agreed.
The schedule's tougher. Like,
right.
Who you play in that 16-team tournament. Like last year, Penn State's rolling out SMU and Boise State to get to the Final Four. Those teams aren't, in the SEC. But and if you falter at all in the West, you're in trouble. LeBron's interesting because his usage rate was like 18. Ball usage rate was like 18% the other night.
Yep, right.
Jazz. Will that stay? That's hard to believe he'll stay that way and be that complimentary a player. JJ Redick's got their offense rolling. I'm with you. The Lakers are like the Cowboys. Everything they do becomes news. But I'll give LeBron this. He hasn't lost it even as he's aged.
No.
He's not any less shrewd. You think it was a coincidence he came back against Utah, a team that plays no defense, and then you have like 4 days off and you play Utah again?
That's pretty good timing.
Nuggets, Spurs, Rockets. I mean, again, the guy's like 72 years old, so I get it.
Right.
I wonder when it gets to nut crunchy time in the playoffs, is he going to be comfortable with Luka doing the James Harden dribbling down the shot clock? I could just envision LeBron stealing the ball from him at the top of the key.
That'd be good theater.
And Austin Reeves has become a guy.
Yes, he has.
He's not a complimentary player anymore. On a lot of nights, he's the number 2 scorer. And if that stays, as crazy as that sounds, if it's Luka on more nights than one and more nights than LeBron, Austin Reeves is their number 2. They're more dangerous that way with LeBron, as you mentioned, kind of in the complementary role, and they have DeAndre Ayton. They're better than they were last year. I just don't see them as better than the Nuggets. But when you have a player like Luka, he can throw out 42 and beat you by himself. He's just such a unique offensive player. And now we're on Ozempic Luka. He's a different guy. I mean, he's the guy he was a couple years ago. God forbid Nico Harrison could have had a vision for a guy like that. If you're going to trade a generational player, Bruce, you want to trade it for someone that's injured and never plays, and for like 1 draft pick. That makes the Nolan Arenado deal look shrewd.
Yeah, no kidding. Right. I mean, you got Dirk Nowitzki taking shots at Harrison right now. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's switch in the time that we have here in this first segment quickly to the Avs. Play tonight against the Rangers. I got to tell you, it's hard for me to split hairs between the two franchises in the winter because they're both off to such great starts. Very intriguing. I have always, in my time here over the last 10 years, for most of it, been amazed by the congruities between the Nuggets and the Avs with the same ownership, but they've gone through different coaches and this, that, and the other thing, leadership, as it were. But they seem to always find similar starts. Last year, both of them had poor starts. This year, both of them are off to great starts. They won championships one year in front of the other, this type of thing. Here we are off to another great start from the Avs. Hell, the Avs are off to like historic kind of great starts. Even with the injury right now to Natushkin, you've got a team whose depth, like the Nuggets, is their overriding factor in what makes them so tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, you have Nathan MacKinnon, who's the best player in hockey right now. I wrote a column that's in the Denver Post today that I hope that people, at least, Cale Makar should be in the conversation for the Hart Trophy. Obviously, Bobby Orr won it, and Chris Pronger, the only defenseman that have won it since it was renamed the Hart Trophy in 1954.
Wow.
But Makar, if he finishes in top 15 in scoring, he needs to be in that conversation as the MVP, not the top defenseman. But MacKinnon is an absolute menace on the ice right now. Makar is doing things on both ends where he's just beyond special. Wedgwood looks like Patrick Waugh reincarnated.
Incredible.
And he's the backup. And you have more depth. Brock Nelson looks more comfortable. Marty Necas, he's signed that deal. And I don't know if it calmed his nerves. He knows where he's going to be. He's responded how you'd hope a guy would respond to a big contract and the pressure of, this is why you gave me the money. But they are a freight train right now.
Yeah.
They are an absolute freight train. And what's crazy is they are so good on 5-on-5. If their power play ever starts clicking, oh my word, because their power play's not been good other than like 2 games. So if they start clicking from that standpoint, holy smokes. Now, again, they have to do it in the playoffs. We know that. That's the thing. They just, and their power play getting unplugged in the playoffs has been part of the reason they've been upset. But this is, for me, if you're asking, I'll ask you this, but if you ask me who has a better chance to win a championship this year, it's Avs.
I think so too.
No Oklahoma City out there. And that's no disrespect to the Nuggets. So I don't know how you see that, but I just look at I was at their practice yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is a confident bunch. You're doing, they're doing the interviews like, is there another level to this greatness? Like, they're talking about this team in the ways that the Avs teams I covered in the 90s. I covered the year after they won the Stanley Cup when you had Forsberg, Sackett, Waugh, Deadmarch, Foote, and that's that locker room. You look around and you're like, holy crap, and now the goalies, they don't match up to Waugh, but Wedgwood's playing like him. They're just really good. And one's not enough. One's not enough for that group. They're too good to have the core group, Makar and MacKinnon, and Taves, and all these guys. They can't win just one. They have to win another one because they're too good, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, who needs it more for their legacy, the Avs or the Nuggets? In this time where they both have arguably the best players in their respective leagues, but only one championship to show for it. Well, I don't know.
Jokic needs it more to be an all-time top 10 player. You can't have just one championship. And that's fair. It's is it fair? No, but it's the same way quarterbacks are evaluated in the NFL. You can't be in the top 5, Dan Marino, not having won a Super Bowl. You just can't because of the way the position is defined. Jokic needs, for his individual legacy, he needs it as much as anyone. In terms of a team, the Avs need it more because their core. That core is just so special with Landy, with MacKinnon, with Makar, with these guys. Like, they can't just get one. And they know this. Like, listen, they know it. Like, when you're around that team, they recognize how special they are. And this year, Bruce, they're not going to try to fix the airplane while it's in the air. Like,
good idea.
Have 5 guys at the trade deadline. There's no Mikko Rantanen drama. That's why I think they're so confident. Is like, these are who our guys are. This is who we are. The goalie thing is settled. We know who our players are. We're not sitting there waiting for the deadline. And they are an absolute wagon right now. Just, going. They're on a roll. They're on a roll. And if they get goalie play like that with the way they score, and again, if that power play starts clicking, holy smokes.
Yeah, 2 teams that are clearly on their way to warming up the winter. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, we will get to some Broncos, and as we continue with our friend Troy Renck.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
All right, continuing with our buddy Troy Renck. You can read him at the Denver Post at Troy Renck on Twitter or X. What are we calling it these days? X? Okay, good. Well, as long as I've got that under control. We expect Eric to be back with us tomorrow, so we'll look forward to that as well. Hot takes with Goodman and Haertl. Hey, there's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casino in Blackhawk coming up on December 13th. It's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets. Who knows, might be playing in the Super Bowl out in California. But tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, kitchen appliances, earn auction currency, and with every locked up jackpot, payers points on daily cash drawings. So many ways to earn currency. And the more you play, the more you have chances to win. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. Start building your auction currency today. Let's get to what's trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Troy touched upon this yesterday as we chatted and negotiated through conversation with the Broncos about their national power ratings. Power ratings are what they are. They're just fodder for discussion. Those types of things are decided on the field. The Broncos now probably somewhere in the 3 to 5 range almost consistently. You don't see them really very much worse than that. You don't see them any better than 3. But who are the teams that are better than the Broncos right now? And let's start in the AFC. I guess you could make an argument for the Colts. The Colts did beat them on a leverage penalty on the last play of the game, which still makes me shake my head and roll my eyes. But, I mean, is that the one argument that you can make in the AFC at this point?
Well, it's the easiest one to make because they beat them head-to-head.
Yeah.
Even if it was, like, again, the lunacy of this is Broncos would be undefeated. Got walked off twice.
Right.
Again, they only had 9 first downs against the Chargers, so I don't want to hear it. They got dominated in that game.
Yeah, I hear you.
But they should have won the Colts game. I mean, the leverage penalty on a 60-yard field goal where a kid walks out to center to the logo and he's just pissing down his leg and his eyes are like this.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Stand there and let him kick it. Just stand, put your arms up in the air and let him kick the ball. He wasn't even close. He missed it by like 12 yards, for God's sakes.
And it was to the right. It was about 15 short and 12 yards right. Looked like one of our golf shots there, Bruce.
You got that right.
Yeah, and it was just so remarkable. Like, why are we trying to block the 60-yarder? Like, it was just, and it would have been a Colts record. So it's like, it would have been an all-time Colts record. And they've had some pretty good kickers. So the Colts deserve to be ranked ahead of them. I don't trust, perhaps because I've seen him in person a couple of different times, I don't trust Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like that gravitational pull for him to turn the ball over is there. Now, again, he played his ass off against the Broncos.
Yes, he did.
All credit to him. But he's not Andrew Luck.
No.
He's not Peyton Manning. So they're vulnerable. Do I think Broncos could go there and win a playoff game? I do. Now, Jonathan Taylor's a handful. And if you're going to vote MVP, he's right there, with Stafford and Drake May. But the other team, and I'll throw it back to your New England roots there.
Right.
Are the Patriots for real at 9-2?
Yeah.
If you're talking about AFC teams better than them, it's just, again, it's hard. We talked about this yesterday. The schedule is not great.
Right.
But the style of plays there, they do things in some ways like the Broncos defensively. They're not as good, certainly with pressure. And Drake May's having a way better season than Bo Nix. I mean, it's not comparable. So do you see them as better than the Broncos?
It's a great question. And I would turn it back to you by saying, how much do you put into a young team getting there for the first time? How real is the stairway to getting to a place where you've got to earn your way to get to the top? The Chiefs certainly did that. The Patriots in the day did that. The Broncos have done that at times during their ascensions. Do you believe in that? Because I will say this, if the Patriots are a reflection of their leadership and Vrabel is the guy that they're taking their cues from, that's a pretty tough football team. Period. That's a tough football team. Now, I don't know how seasoned they are. I don't know how ready they are to go into postseason football. There was an obvious learning curve for the Broncos last year. Even though they drew first blood in Buffalo, it was very clear very quickly that was a bridge too far for where they were in their development. So is that a real thing for this Patriots team that is really a pretty young football team?
I do think it's real, especially if they're the 1 seed and they get the bye and everyone's telling them how great they are. And now you've been off a week and you host a playoff game. Playoff football is different. Everyone will tell you that's ever played in. It's a little faster. It's a little more physical. You can feel, you walk in and your palms are sweaty. It's the Eminem song. Your palms are sweaty and you're throwing up mom's spaghetti and you feel the nerves. Now it's a knockout tournament.
Yeah.
And you haven't been there if you're the Patriots with any of these guys. The Patriots certainly have. None of those guys really, I don't even know if there's one guy on the Patriots that would have been on a championship team there. Vrabel, but he's the coach. And they're built in his image. And they're tough. And the way they win, they're not dependent on winning in ways that feel flukish. It's just different to do it in the playoffs. Again, it's a great example, Bruce. You saw with the Broncos last year. They deserve to be in the playoffs. Even though they lost 2 of their last 3, they earned it. It's not their fault they played the JV of the Chiefs. That's just the way the schedule fell. But when they got to Buffalo, you could tell after the first quarter, they weren't ready for the moment. They weren't ready, and they couldn't stop Cook. And so that's where the Patriots would be vulnerable for me. It's just because they don't have a lot. They have Christian Gonzalez, Drake May, but it's not like they're littered with all pros and veteran guys. They're just they're a little bit that Oklahoma City vibe, a bunch of young guys all kind of ascending together. And it feels like to me they're 1 year away. This is me, that they're 1 year away from could they win a playoff game and then lose a playoff game and then go, okay, we'll learn from that and come back and then they'll add some more pieces. That's what it feels like to me. But I respect it when I've watched them these last few weeks. I'm like, okay, now I get it. Drake May is playing the Justin Herbert when he's at the top of his game, and their weapons are a little better than I thought. Travion Henderson would look nice in a Broncos uniform.
Thank you. And I get it. I'm good with Jahdae Barron, and and having sat there through the last 3 weeks, watching this team play in the back end without the defensive player of the year and an all-pro, and them really not miss a beat, I get it, and I will give Peyton and Peyton their flowers on the draft pick. But yes, I will come back to it. Travion Henderson would look pretty damn good right about now in a Broncos uniform. Now, and I don't know if J.K. Dobbins would have been a Bronco if they'd had Travion Henderson. Maybe that's the move they would have made anyway. But I don't know. But that's
I think they would have, because he's just a tick better than Harvey. I think they still would have added Dobbins for the veteran experience. And in all fairness, Henderson wasn't doing it much until given opportunity. He wasn't playing much.
No, you're right. He wasn't.
Harvey's had more opportunity, and he's been really good in the pass game. He just hasn't been a force at all in the run game yet. He's going to have time to do it. I'm not going to give him flowers for Barron because I thought it was a luxury pick.
It was a luxury pick.
Like
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
At that point, it was very clear to me, like, either trade up for a tight end, get Obuka, the receiver from Ohio State, or get a running back. Like, just need, watching them, more weapons. And then Sean Payton, I've said this a million times, he loves his receivers and running backs way more than the rest of us. And on some Sundays, you get it. And I'm Pat Bryant, I'm really bullish on. Troy Franklin made a jump. But again, when you start talking about playoff games, big games, they take Sutton out of the game, where are you? And that's where you put Bo Nix in a little bit of a, he doesn't have a T. Higgins over there if you take out Jamar Chase. That's where it gets a little greasy. And that's where not having Dobbins, to me, is just, it bears watching. The defense is going to be good to great against anyone. Offensively, can Harvey or the run game with Nix, can it step up in a way that prevents them from being one-dimensional? Because they're not good enough with their weapons to be one-dimensional, unless, Evan Ingram suddenly becomes the guy we thought he was. But the joke's been on us, not the Joker. Unless he becomes this guy who's getting 7 catches for 80 yards and they're Kelsey, I don't know how they can win, 2 playoff games or 1 on the road without a secondary offensive weapon, Bruce. And I hope I'm wrong. Maybe it's Bryant, maybe it's Franklin, maybe it's Ingram, but I can't sit here today and go, it's so obvious if they can't run the ball, they could beat a team passing. On the road, I don't know yet. They've got time. They have 6 weeks, but I'm not there yet.
Well, we talked about it yesterday. More design for Bo Nix in the running game. I think that's how you accentuate the running game at this point, when there are real questions about what RJ Harvey can do in the running game. He's just not to the hole with the kind of certainty that you had with J.K. Dobbins. That can come though with time. I mean, and I'm not impatient there. And like you pointed out yesterday, they still ran the ball 21 times against the Chiefs.
Correct.
So I was at least happy to see that. Let me ask you one more thing before we skedaddle here. Bet you didn't think you'd hear that word today used on the show. But where are we right now? In the return game, you've got this marvelous player in Marvin Mims Jr. back there. And the questions that we had with him in the offense, we had for a couple of years, and then we seem to have it taken care of. I'm starting to wonder about what they're going to do, or is Marvin Mims going to be a part of this offense? Because we're talking about layers of the offense. Marvin Mims has not been a guy that has been used very regularly this year. I thought we had kind of gotten over that in Cincinnati last year and late in the season. We saw him used in very creative ways, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. And we're left with the guy who can make tremendous plays in the return game, but all of a sudden he's a whisper in the offense.
He just feels like, because we've been saying this since Jerry Jeudy was here.
Exactly.
And why isn't Mims getting more opportunity? It just feels the way Sean Payton, the vision he has for Mims is matchup dependent. There's weeks where he sees the matchup and Mims gets 7 targets and he's unreal. And the next week he gets 1 target and 1 catch for 8 yards. And I don't agree with it. You don't agree with it. And we don't, because they don't have an obvious 2. But if you look at the stats, they would tell you, the stats are telling you this. They don't really say it this way, but the stats tell you they think Franklin is a clear number 2 receiver now.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if he still leads in targets, but he did going into last game. So he's right there with Sutton. Some of it's Sutton getting double teamed and they're shading the safety to him. But they see Franklin as a 2. He's getting his every week, right? I mean, every week he's getting his 7 to 9. Mims gets 8, then 1, then 6, then 0, then 5, then he's hurt, then 4, then 9 again. I'm with you though, Bruce. I think Sean Keeler wrote about it earlier this week too in the Denver Post, that you just can't disregard this talent, especially without Dobbins. If you want to say with Dobbins, it's just hard to feed all the mouths, okay. But if you watch Mims, he is a game breaker. He's a true playmaker. He catches the ball well. He's a little undersized, he is, but this is a guy that typically when he gets the ball, good things happen. I do think when you come back from this bye, as you self-scout, that he's got to be – you got to find a way to say minimum, we walk away, he gets 7 touches, 5 targets, 2 running attempts, whatever that is on that. But he needs to be in the backfield some, and he needs to get seven touches for me every week going forward. Unless there's just some revelation that now Ingram is now part of it and there's just not enough to go around. But that's what I'm saying. Ingram, it's not – you'd just be taking some from Franklin.
That's it.
I mean, and that's not a terrible – I mean, I love Franklin's development. I do. But from a talent perspective, when the ball's in Mims's hand, you just feel like there's just electricity running through that play. Where Franklin, it's a hit and miss thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can't ignore that, especially with Dobbins out and Harvey has not gained traction in the run game yet. Doesn't mean he won't. But let's not forget about Mims. And don't forget about him again in the backfield.
Right.
I'm not talking Deebo Samuel here, boy.
I got you. I got you. Right.
But a couple of touches just to put him back there to plant that seed. Because I used to say it about Judy, and it was true of his talent. It just never manifested here. It's just, Mims is better in space than NASA. Get him the damn ball. How you can't see what he can do if you don't give it to him.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's from the line Fletch in the movie, like, we can't run the promo and then not run the story, Fletch. We can't see his talent and then not give him the ball. We can't talk about his talent and then not give him the ball. Like, these two work hand in hand, Bruce.
Very good. What are you writing about today, Troy?
I'm probably going to write Jokic. I'm working on a holiday project that I'm hoping comes together. I was going to go get to Josh Allen's thing, full disclosure, on Saturday for his number retired, but he's not doing media.
Oh.
There's no media.
Wow.
So and I like Josh. I've interviewed him multiple times, both at the Bills, at the Senior Bowl, but it didn't make a lot of sense for me to go to the game where there's no press conference.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, but I didn't realize they played Thursday night, so he's really just flying in, doing the grip and grin with his jersey.
Yeah, and then out. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm working on a holiday project, working on a Jokic project, and I've got to kill Makar, call him up now. And if all else fails, I'll write Bo Nix.
Whenever in doubt, go to Bo Nix. He's the busiest man in media, Troy Renck. Troy, you and Erica will kick it tomorrow. Look forward to it. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. See you later, everybody.
Take care.